to a spheric news briefing. With me here is Fatima. She'll be discussing some of the news headlines with me. You're welcome, Fatima.
Thank you for having me.
Today we'll proceed to the news headlines for Friday. From the Punch newspaper, we have Wike's camp condemns PDP anti-South posture, seeks redress. Loyalists of the River State Governor Nyesom Wike has called for the restructuring of the People's Democratic Party to accommodate more Southerners, saying the party as presently constituted is pro-North. The governor's camp complained that the structure of the party was skewed in favor of Northerners, stressing that any proposed reconciliation between the PDP and the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and Wike must address these continuous issues. Wike's loyalists stated this, in separate news interview with the Punch as Atiku meets with the governor in Abuja on Thursday. Regardless of the meeting, the members of Wike's camp are insisting on the restructuring of the PDP leadership, stating that the Northerners cannot occupy the positions of the Board of Trustees, Chairman, and the National Chairman and Governors Forum Chairman. A PDP chieftain and former House of Representative member, Obonna Wuke, said as a party loyalist, they would support any genuine decision by the party to ensure peace in the fold. Wuke, who represented the Eche Omumwa constituency of the Wuke, who represented Eche Omumwa constituency in the Greener Chamber of the National Assembly, said, "We are party loyalists. It stands to reason as party men. Good party men will support any move, any decision, any aspiration made by the party or its leadership to ensure that peace reigns in our midst." To lay the foundation for peace in the PDP, the former River State Commissioner for Information and Communication, however, said there must be harmony, respect, and understanding. To the Nation newspaper, PDP can win without Wike, Atiku tells the Board of Trustees. The dust over the presidential primaries of the People's Democratic Party and the choice of Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as the running mate by its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has not settled. Although Atiku and the River State Governor Nyesom Wike met yesterday in Abuja at the instance of the party's Board of Trustees led by Senator Walid Jobrin, a source said it did not disclose a truce. The meeting was hosted by the former Information and Culture Minister, Professor Jerry Gana, at his residence. And then to the Daily Trust newspaper. Osibanjo told the military, account for security expenditure. Vice President Yemi Osibanjo has uncovered the need for transparency in the management of resources meant for the acquisition of hardware for defense and security agencies. He spoke late Wednesday during a virtual interaction after receiving a presentation on defense transformation and national security, strategic options for Nigeria of the future by the National Defense College cost 30 participants. Daily Trust reports that Nigeria is facing a myriad of foundations, opens entry for Oxford scholarships challenges like terrorism, banditry, kidnapping for ransoms, and agitations for secession, amongst others. Security breaches are ripe across all 6 geopolitical zones, including the FCT, Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as a symbol of authority is being desecrated and civilians and security operatives killed. Atiku breaks the ice, meet Wike in Abuja, This is the Guardian newspaper. After weeks of brickbats since the conclusion of the presidential primaries of the PDP, the aggrieved governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, yesterday evening met behind closed doors in Abuja. Although details of the meeting were still sketchy as at the time of this report, sources in the PDP said the meeting between the two gladiators took place at the residence of the former Minister of Information and National Orientation and prominent member of the Board of Trustees of the PDP, Professor Jerry Ghana, signaling what observers believed were reconciliatory moves to pacify the governor. It was confirmed that though the meeting took place at Ghana's house, he was not at the meeting. Also, interpos were bad as the duo met without hangers on. A source disclosed the meeting took place in a very cordial atmosphere, and at the end, both leaders happily exchanged banters openly. The two agreed to set a small committee of equal representatives from both sides to thrash out issues of differences. That committee will ultimately submit a report on a larger committee that will finally lay the issue to rest. I can also tell you that two party leaders met without a third party. And then to the Guardian newspaper, Atiku Wike meets, pledge to resolve PDP crisis in 7 days. For the first time after the presidential primaries and elections and selection of the running mate, which resulted in the crisis in the People's Democratic Party (PDP), the presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State met yesterday to hammer solutions to their logjam. The duo gathered and held their long-awaited face-to-face meeting behind closed doors at the private residence of Professor Jerry Ghana, a member of the party's Board of Trustees, and pledged to resolve their differences within 7 days. These are the news headlines. I will return after a short break to discuss with Fatima what we have for today. So stay with me as we go for a short break.
Welcome to Spheric News. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for those who have subscribed to our channel. We are happy to have you on our channel. Thank you so much for all your support. But please, for those who have not subscribed, we are begging you, subscribe to our channels. Please subscribe. Please, we are begging you, subscribe to our channel. And while subscribing, do not forget to click on the notification button, the button around it. Don't click for you to get our notification whenever we're on live program, wherever we're covering a live program, wherever we're giving you a news update, wherever we post a new content on our channel. Please do not forget to follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, official at Spheric News, on Instagram Spheric News, on Twitter and Spheric News, on LinkedIn and Spheric News. Please, thank you so much for your huge support. Watching is a support. Thank you. We are grateful. But please, let someone know about Spheric TV, and also to call on us anyone in need of our service. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello, you're welcome back to a Spheric morning news briefing. If you're just joining us, don't forget to subscribe to our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are official Spheric News. On Instagram, we are Spheric News. On Twitter, we are Spheric News. And on YouTube, we are Spheric TV. We beg you to subscribe to get more news updates. So this morning, I'll be discussing with Fatima on the headlines of today's newspapers. But basically, all the newspapers for today are talking about Wike and Atiku's reconciliation after their presidential primaries. So we'll look at the Punch headlines, which says Wike's camp condemns PDP's anti-South posture, seeks redress. So, Fatima, what do you think? The national chairman of the PDP is from the north. The chairman of the Board of Trustees is from the north. The chairman of the PDP Governors Forum is from the north. And the presidential candidate for the PDP is also from the north. Do you think Wike's camp has a valid argument?
I mean, in all that we do, we strive for equity and fairness. So if Wike's camp is raising some sort of, issue, then it's something to be looked at. I mean, some representation will be fair. So I would say that they're raising a valid point.
So you think Wike has a valid point by saying the party should tilt some of the position to the southern part of the country?
I mean, yes, I don't have an issue with that, because after all, it's a political party.
Yeah.
And the aims of political parties are to represent generally.
Right.
So if some part is not being represented
equally,
there's going to be a problem.
Right.
Because it's either representation or compensation. So which have they chosen? Do you get what I mean?
Okay, it's either representation or compensation.
Compensation.
So it means that if Wike's camp is compensated with something tangible, they could do with that.
I believe.
But moving forward, the Nation newspaper says that PDP can win without Wike. Atiku tells the party's Board of Trustees. What do you think about this statement?
I mean, that's a fishy one, and it would be quite insensitive to say that, because, like I said earlier, a political party is set to represent. So at every point in time, there should be representation for every region.
Across all geopolitical
exactly.
zones, yeah. But I feel that Governor Wike is not being a Democrat. Reason being that there was a primaries conducted by the party constitutionally, which he lost out. He was not the only
person that lost out, and the people in the party voted for Atiku.
Yes, so
we get it.
How come he is the only one that is making noise about
the
outcome of the primaries?
He's a party member.
Yeah.
So if he's not speaking as a how do I put it, as someone who lost the primaries, I believe he might be speaking from an angle of being a party member. I mean, it means a lot to be in a political party and to be able to represent. So we're not knocking off his points, but maybe there needs to be a different approach.
But Atiku is saying that the PDP can win without Governor Wike. What signal does this send out?
I mean, it's a red flag, but I would say almost a fact, because Wike is one man. And a political party doesn't consist of just one man. A political party consists of a number of individuals,
right,
who came together and voted the same Atiku as the winner. So Atiku kind of has a valid point when he says...
from the record of INEC, I think we're told that Rivers State has overtaken Katsina as the third largest state with the highest number of voters, after Kano and one other state in the north. River State is now the third. I think after Kano and what state is the highest other state with the highest number of voters in the northwest? Sokoto. After Kano and Sokoto, you talk in the northwest, River State comes third. So it is not very ideal to underrate a governor like Nyesom Wike, judging from the fact that he controls a large population of voters.
And that brings me back to saying both parties have a valid point. And I guess the point of both having valid points is to meet in the middle. or
And
compensate.
get a resolution.
Exactly. That's why I said it's all about compensation.
Governor Wike has become the talk of the PDP in the last few weeks. In fact, since he lost his appointment as the running mate of Atiku Abubakar. But that is Atiku's personal choice to choose out of the 3 names that were sent to him to pick his running mate. He chose the Okowa of Delta State. That is his choice, and we hope that the rift in the PDP is resolved as soon as possible. Moving forward to other headlines in the newspaper, I think the Guardian newspaper and all the Daily Trust are still talking about Wike's and Atiku's rift. But Daily Trust newspaper said Osibanjo to the military, account for security expenditure, says security operative must be ahead of criminals, canvasses increase in local production of arms, non-transparent military spending can create war economy. This is not a very pleasant update when the vice president of the country, I beg your pardon, is calling on the military to be accountable in their expenditure. Is this something we should worry about?
I wouldn't say something to be worried about. It is just a call for caution,
right?
Which can never be overly emphasized. You can't overly emphasize it, especially with the situation of the country currently regarding insecurity. So I think it's coming from a place of concern.
Yeah. So it doesn't spell any worry at all.
I believe it doesn't, because so far the government is doing its best to ensure that there's a level of decorum.
If you say the government is doing its best so far in terms of security, does this mean that you're not aware of the recent security challenges in the country?
I'm very aware. And are you aware that recently funds have been released for security purposes?
Funds have always been released. The question is, are these funds spent judiciously?
Which brings us back to this point.
Okay.
A call for caution, which I said can never be overly emphasized.
So if the military should do more, spend the money that has been allocated to them appropriately, I think they will be able to win the war against insecurity.
Because I would say the military is one of Nigeria's strongest forces.
In fact, it is.
It is Nigeria's strongest force. So imagine getting all the right energy, the right equipment, the right tools, the right manpower. They get everything right. I think you and I wouldn't even be sitting here and be discussing insecurity as a topic.
I agree with you. Lastly, we'll look at the Vanguard newspaper is still talking about 2023. Atiku Wike meets pledges to resolve the PDP crisis within 7 days. Now that the PDP is still trying to get their house together and the APC is moving forward, they've already constituted the committees for the campaign. Do you think it would be disastrous for the PDP if they fail to put their house together and move in one front for the 2023 election?
Definitely. A party is one. So if a party can't come together to achieve a certain goal, then there's no need. They're gonna fail. You need togetherness to achieve a goal.
Okay, so
and that's why they say there's no I in team.
Okay, yeah. So we hope that the PDP are able to resolve their crisis within the 7 days, as they have said. Atiku, who is the presidential candidate, has met with the almighty Governor Wike of Rivers State, who has been causing a lot of issues in the PDP lately. We hope that their issues has been resolved, and then they give Nigerians a party that is united for them to choose. So that is all we have for this morning, because virtually all the newspapers headlines today are talking about Governor Wike and Atiku's meeting. So if you're just watching us, just don't forget to subscribe to our social media handles. On Facebook, we are Spheric TV, official Spheric TV on Facebook. On Instagram, we are Spheric News. On Twitter, we are Spheric News. And on YouTube, we are Spheric TV. Thank you, and join us next time on Morning Brief.